We can discuss anything you like here, Sam. It's a private room, after all. So if you ever want to sit down and talk, I'd be happy to share my thoughts on a variety of topics, along with any discoveries I happen to make. And who knows, some of it may even be of use to you as you work to connect all of Australia to the chiral network. It's important to remember that defeating BTs isn't the same as eliminating a threat once and for all. These entities are simply being driven back to the world of the dead for the time being. You know, it looks as though you've been issued a few different hats, Sam. Why not experiment and switch up your headgear to suit your mood? You can also change the outfit I'm wearing if you like. I shall put my faith in your impeccable sense of fashion. I hope it's not too much to ask that you continue to take me with you into the field. I know a thing or two about BTs and the dead, after all. Some of it might come in handy. An advance expedition sent by APAC came to the Australian continent ahead of us. They constructed various facilities and laid the groundwork for chiral network expansion, meaning that all you need to do is travel to these facilities and connect your Cupid to put them on the grid. We aren't the only members of Drawbridge, so you know. We have associates who've already established themselves on the ground. I expect you'll run into them from time to time. Out of curiosity, Sam, did you notice that the mirror above your sink displays images of the outside world? These images change as we travel and actually show what's waiting for us outside the DHV Magellan when we disembark. Prolonged living inside an enclosed space can be bad for one's mental health due to the unchanging environment. That's why I asked Tarman to implement this particular feature. A digital photo frame, so to speak. An easy-to-understand name, don't you think? Though I'm the only one who calls it that. Anyway, it'll give you a preview of our surroundings. That's sure to have some practical benefits. Showers these days are truly impressive, Sam. They really are. They're able to collect all the minute chiral crystals from your wastewater and repurpose them for later use. The ones on board the DHV Magellan are the latest model. You would do well to use them regularly. Fabulous, Sam. Really. Sam, been a while since you had a proper shower, wouldn't you say? I don't really have anything else to say right now. So, the files say you worked with Amelie to connect everyone in the UCA to the chiral network. But that despite your best efforts, an extinction event known as the Last Stranding seemed destined to kill us all. Until Amelie found a way to put a stop to it. She single-handedly sealed off the extinction entity's beach, preventing countless BTs from invading our world, and in doing so, saved humanity. But why am I telling you this? You were there to witness it all with your own two eyes. And you, of all people, must know that humanity can never truly escape extinction. The ultimate goal of Drawbridge's mission is to overcome the Death Stranding. If we succeed, we will be fulfilling Amelie's dying wish. At least that's how I see it. The weapons they were wielding were impressive, and the brigands themselves were a tough, imposing bunch. You know, Sam, you can have me scout ahead if it would make your life easier. Just toss me into the middle of their camp, and I can give you a better picture of what to expect. It's not very sophisticated, but it works. Just promise you won't throw me anywhere weird. When the first APAC expedition came to Australia, the brigands saw them as invaders and rejected their overtures. They were unwilling to embrace the change that the chiral network could bring to their world. While their motives differ, I'm reminded of the Luddite movement and their violent opposition to new technologies. Brigands seem committed to not killing their enemies, at least. If only they had channeled their energies into a constructive dialogue with us. Ah, yes. Those wandering BTs we encountered, I believe people call them Watchers. A fitting name given their behavior. The way they seem to be eyeing us with such disconcerting intensity. Oof. They can't see everything, though. No, they've definitely got some blind spots. Meaning, you might be able to avoid combat by evading detection and sneaking past unnoticed. So in order to survey an area, I have to rely on a very special power. My strength of will, you might say. The requisite focus can be rather exhausting, but I'm happy to grin and bear it since it's for your sake. So, if you deem it necessary, feel free to send me airborne as many times as you like. It won't use up any battery or chiral crystals either. All it requires is that I place my absolute faith in you. Which I do, so don't hesitate to ask for help. The brigands object to virtually all forms of change, which begs the question of how they managed to get their hands on that disruptor device, or chiral jammer, doesn't it? Sam, is that Horizon Dreamer I spy in your music collection? That's one of Daiichi Miura's best songs. I'd love to hear it again, to listen and remember my family. Apparently, you can create your own custom playlist for the music player. If you have any recommendations, I'm all ears, Sam. You know, I've been thinking about what happened to Lou. Fragile holds herself personally responsible for those tragic events. If Higgs was indeed behind the attack, then I can understand why she feels that way. Why she blames herself for setting everything in motion. But she's resolved not to let any of it show. To bottle it up and put on a brave face. She didn't used to smoke before, did she? I suspect it's a form of self-punishment she's adopted. Vengeance gives rise to a cycle of violence, and Higgs wouldn't have it any other way. But she's committed to helping you complete this journey, together with Lou, to get you back on your feet. And if she believes she has to bury her emotions and play the part of a hard-nosed commander to do that, she will. That's what I think, anyway. I'm sure you can understand her position. That masked man, that was Higgs, wasn't it? I had no idea he commanded such terrible powers. To summon a giant mech single-handedly. I expect he's behind recent disruptions to the tar currents, too. Well, you don't have to face him alone, Sam. You have me for backup. Sam, it seems Tarman decided to leave a few books for you. Right there, by your bed. Reading is a wonderful way to take your mind off things. Trust me. There are organisms in this area that I don't believe I've ever laid eyes on before. My understanding is that they're called chiral creatures, and they come in all shapes and sizes. Apparently, they will drain your batteries if you come into contact with them. There may be other deleterious effects for all we know. And really, you shouldn't be bothering them anyway. There's nothing to be gained from it. It's not like they drop coins when defeated. I've known Tarman for quite a while now, but that was the first time I've heard him speak about his son in that fashion. It made me wish that I could do something, anything to ease his burden. But setting aside those feelings, suppose that cat of his is in fact his son reborn. Why does it treat me as though I'm a threat? Does it just hate me? Reincarnation or not, perhaps it's still a cat at heart. Moby Dick, or The Whale, seems to be one of Tarman's favorite novels. As the name suggests, it's a story about a white sperm whale named Moby Dick. Captain Ahab, one of the main characters, uses a prosthetic leg made of whalebone to replace the one Moby Dick took long ago. He's obsessed with getting revenge against the whale, which he hates with a terrible passion, all while nursing the phantom pain of his lost leg. In the end, Ahab fails to exact vengeance on his foe and is dragged into the sea. His crew's only survivor is Ishmael, the book's narrator. He was rescued after clinging desperately to a coffin-shaped life buoy. That's right, a coffin was his savior. Ironic, isn't it? How you use a thing makes all the difference. On a dark night in May 1816, 3 men and 2 women found themselves confined to a villa on the shore of Lake Geneva. A catastrophic volcanic eruption had wrought havoc on the global climate, and a relentless rain hammered down outside. With little else to do, the occupants of the villa decided to compose ghost stories, and it was on this fateful night that a woman named Mary penned what would become Frankenstein. Mary, who was only 18 years of age, had already lived a tumultuous life. She was engaged in an affair with the poet Percy Bysshe Shelley at the time, whom she would later go on to marry. A dramatic retelling of these events was committed to film prior to the death Stranding. Titled Mary Shelley, it stars Elle Fanning in the lead role. Now, where have I heard that name before? The Pequod is the ship in which Ahab pursues Moby Dick on his quest for vengeance. His crew includes Dutchmen, Frenchmen, Spaniards, Portuguese, Icelanders, as well as shipmates from China and India. Countless other people of myriad origins, too. It is arguably symbolic of the multiracial United States. A gathering of souls that transcends ethnic and national divisions, united in pursuit of a singular goal. I can't help but be reminded of Kojima Productions. Wait, judging by your reaction, you've never heard of Kojima Productions? Sam, you can't be serious. I don't really have anything else to say right now. The gathering of storytellers that spawned Mary Shelley's Frankenstein gave rise to yet another legendary creature of horror fiction. I speak, of course, of the vampire. A physician named Polidori was also in attendance that evening, and he later unveiled his creation in a new novel. As I may have mentioned before, the summer of that year was unusually cold. In Europe alone, 200,000 people are said to have perished as a result. Could it be that a widespread fear that the world might be coming to an end served as inspiration for 2 classic monsters? I find it a compelling theory. Certain parallels can be drawn between Captain Ahab's pursuit and the Prometheus myth. Prometheus is a deity said to have stolen fire from the heavens in order to give it to humans. In essence, he bestowed upon them the power of the gods themselves. This power manifested as technology. Humans crafted tools, and with them brought nature to heal and built great civilizations. Perhaps the author intended to frame Ahab's pursuit of the white whale as one akin to mankind's struggle against the forces of nature. We ourselves are arguably living out our own Prometheus myth as we fight to overcome the Death Stranding. No, we definitely are. And we're not about to lose. It should be noted that the monster's name is not Frankenstein, nor was it ever given a proper name. Frankenstein is the name of its creator and the story's protagonist, Victor Frankenstein. Through its many movie adaptations, the image of the disturbing and unstable patchwork creature has grown ever more vivid. And in the process, the misconception that it was called Frankenstein was born. In the original novel, however, it was an intelligent, human-like being that craved acceptance. A clever, gentle giant cobbled together from others, not unlike our dead man, don't you think? And while he doesn't appear in Shelley's original work, in several movies, Frankenstein is joined by a rather memorable assistant named Igor. Igor and Victor. Now, where have I heard those two names before? I was glad to see Rainey in such high spirits. She's grown so bright and energetic, almost unrecognizable from our first meeting. A pity that her child shows no similar signs of development. Rainey used to be much more quiet and withdrawn. She seemed averse to spending time with people. Dolls, too. It was singing and dancing that got her to open up. I'm something of a performer myself, though I've never showed anyone. The Rainbow Valley greenhouses are the product of our researchers' hard work. And thanks to you and me, those invaluable structures will endure for a good while yet. That sure looked good, Sam. Another order already? You're a very busy man, Sam. I was looking into the conditions that led to the bushfire we escaped. It seemed to have been caused by a phenomenon known as chiral cinders. Unlike other items washed up by the currents, cinders violently erupt from the tar and soar through the sky before crashing to the ground. This phenomenon has been observed across the continent and has led to an increase in bushfires. It's one more potential threat to keep an eye out for. Ever wanted to learn more about the various creatures housed at the animal shelter, Sam? Well, there's a speaker outside the facility that they use to broadcast updates. Might be good to check in on some of the animals we've taken there once in a while. I'm so glad that we were able to save that kangaroo's life. It's easy to forget that humans aren't the only creatures affected by the Death Stranding. Protecting our remaining wildlife isn't just the right thing to do. It can also help us to better understand how the environment has changed. Rainey was a vision to behold. To put out that fire so effortlessly. Her powers are incredible, don't you think? The kangaroo you rescued is currently being cared for and studied at the animal shelter. You know, if you ever want to stop by and see how it's doing, I wouldn't object. Are you curious how I maintain my youthful appearance? It's because Rainey lets me shower in her core fall from time to time. Are you sure you're all right, Sam? I did notice that you were tossing and turning in your sleep. And I'm still not sure what to make of the girl we found in that other place. Why don't we do as Fragile suggested and visit her in the next room? I just can't stop thinking about that place. It was filled with the spirits of the dead, a vast number, beyond counting. And the man who attacked us without any explanation. I don't have any idea who he is. Do you? It was a place that belonged to the dead. And while we were trapped there, only a scant few seconds seemed to have passed here. It's like the beach in that regard. Time flows differently there, relative to how it does in our world. Those battlefields you once journeyed to were also pockets of reality outside of ours. But this was different. Perhaps we'll be able to understand it better if we ever get the chance to go there again. Which isn't to say that I want to go back. Tomorrow, a mysterious young woman from the world of the dead. I hope she makes a swift recovery. As usual, Drawbridge can't help but run its people ragged. Tomorrow seemed to react negatively to overstimulation. This is likely just a defensive mechanism, so to speak. A way to safeguard her mind from the strange and unfamiliar. At times like these, it's best to limit the number of people attempting to help the distressed individual. So let's trust in Rainey and Fragile to take care of her. You've been receiving more dangerous orders. I respect your willingness to undertake them without any fuss. Please, don't hesitate to rely on me for assistance if you ever find yourself in need of it. While I'm incapable of fighting like you, if you throw me toward your enemies, I can keep them distracted, for a short while at least. Sam, the Brigands' vehicles are of a rather antiquated design, significantly different from the standard pickup off-roader. You won't be able to get them repaired at distribution centers or on the DHV Magellan. Can't even store them in a garage. They're enemy property after all. Too risky to bring inside our facilities. Could be booby-trapped. I'd not get into the habit of using them too often if I were you. Necrobiotes are fascinating. And they seem to have become more commonplace lately as well. Ever since you and I were swallowed up by that tar fall, to be specific. This sudden increase in the population should be considered yet another example of an environmental anomaly. If we successfully extend the network across the continent and trigger a plate gate to appear, such anomalies should begin to wane. So, Samson Hook from the F2 South Distribution Center is not a man to be trifled with, no sir. I did some research, and I found he's a popular local figure, beloved by one and all, it seems. Known as the Golden Fist as well. But don't misunderstand. I'd wager the people's love for him is not rooted solely in his considerable martial prowess. That friend of the Dowser we rescued was a very brave man, don't you think? To go to such a dangerous place all by himself, in spite of the countless potential risks. Perhaps it would have been better if he wasn't quite so brave. The armed survivalists don't seem concerned in the least about causing people's deaths. It's unconscionable, terrifying too. Man, the thought alone's enough to make me feel sick. Sam. None of us can go through catastrophic trauma without being forever scarred by the experience. Trying to reclaim a sense of normalcy through routine can help the heart to heal. Your deliveries are making a big difference, Sam. For others and for yourself. The Voyage of the Beagle, written, of course, by one Charles Darwin. Speaking of which, before the Death Stranding, there was a city in the northern part of Australia called Darwin, named as such after the Beagle made a brief stop there. Darwin was able to devote so much time and effort to his research of evolution because he enjoyed the support of the elite, specifically the Wedgwood family, pottery makers to the royal household. In fact, Darwin's maternal grandfather was the founder of Wedgwood. You can't get a better patron than that, now can you? I suppose if you think about it, Wedgwood was to Darwin as Charlie is to us. Apparently, Darwin always had a strong interest in geology. He was fascinated by the way continents and landforms change, leading to the creation of new habitats for organisms. This led him to surmise that organisms adapted to their new environments in order to thrive. And that logic eventually became the basis of his theory of evolution. The world around us continues to change, even now. The continents are in flux due to the shifting tar currents and the emergence of plate gates. Is it possible these changes might also spur life to develop and adapt in unforeseen ways? Oh, reading that one again, are we? It must be quite the page-turner. The HMS Beagle, which was instrumental in Darwin's development of his theory of evolution, eventually came to symbolize adventures and explorers of new worlds. Spaceships in science fiction novels would bear the name, as well as actual ships developed in real life. You know, Sam, when our Australian journey is finally complete, we could ask Charlie to build us our own personal vessel. Yes, we should. Let's do that. It'll be fun. It goes without saying that we'll have to call it the Beagle. Oh, and you must let me be the captain, all right? I won't budge on this. I refuse. Did you hear that just now? It came from the hall outside. It's hard to say what we should do about tomorrow. That everyone is of a different opinion is to be expected. Our positions are informed by our past experiences. To me, it matters less where I am than who I am with. So long as I am in the company of those I care about, I am happy to go wherever. But what does tomorrow think, I wonder? Until she can speak for herself, I believe we should go with what Fragile has decided. This has certainly taken a turn. Come on, Sam. Let's start looking for her. It can be terribly difficult for children to witness an argument between adults. Now, tomorrow is not exactly a child, of course, but she saw us, the people who took her in, struggling to decide what to do with her. That can't have made her feel good. We should have involved her in the conversation. For now, though, I just want to do my part to help find her. When you're ready to head out, be sure to take me with you. To wake up to another order is just... I wish they could be a bit more considerate. Hartman's condition is cause for concern. There's no sugarcoating the tremendous strain he's putting on his body. His is undeniably one of the hardest 21-minute syndromes to live with. The regular disruption to his circulatory system and the flow of blood is damaging all of his organs. And let's not forget that the heart itself has a great many pain receptors. Part of me wishes I could swap places with him. Not that my body could ever serve as a suitable substitute for his. Why don't you try freshening up with a shower? So that was the esteemed data scientist. It didn't take much convincing to become a part of the chiral network after all, did they? I suppose the appeal of APAS's analytical capabilities was too much to ignore. And they must be quite the fan of pizza, too. The considerable weight of our last delivery did not escape my notice. Just how many pizzas do you think the chef was able to pack into that container? Huh. A suit that prevents its wearer from being recognized by AI cameras. Eyes are the most prominent sensory organ of many life forms. Those of us who specialize in psychology often learn a great deal about them. You see, what the eye and the camera perceive is compared against past experiences and data to yield a conclusion. Perhaps this suit exploits a flaw in how AI cameras perform this function. Which is to say, you shouldn't presume you won't show up on these cameras. But I think it may utilize a form of optical jamming to obfuscate your appearance. In this way, it ensures the system doesn't interpret you as an intruder. Come to think of it, I see that the armed survivalists have gotten their hands on a new assortment of weapons. And our own arsenal has since been expanded, courtesy of the pizza chef. People seem less and less inclined to give others the benefit of the doubt these days. I fear it's going to continue to get harder to earn the trust of strangers in the future. Each time we take the DHV Magellan into the currents, the level of tar pollution on board increases, which is why everyone has to pitch in to clean the ship after every trip. In spite of that, we still find ourselves stymied by nasty blockages like this one. Tarman broke 3 mops attempting to dislodge a particularly stubborn wad before throwing up his hands in despair. Although he failed in that epic struggle, I can only respect his dedication. Sam, about the hot springs. We should go out and try to dig a new one. They can soothe aches and pains, improve circulation, and depending on the mineral content, confer all kinds of other benefits. But more than that, it simply feels good to soak and relax. You should never miss a chance to take a dip. The best time to avail yourself of a hot spring is 8 or so in the evening. Call it a doll's intuition. Sam, the neck injury you suffered during your altercation with Higgs appears to have healed. You know, I've been thinking about what he said at West Fort Knot. He claimed that extinction wasn't his creed, that he wanted to build a world where fear and violence are king. I can only assume that at present he lacks the means to set the last Stranding in motion. So instead, he settled for trying to pit people against one another so they can tear the world apart for him. The weapons factory was just a means to that end. All the more reason why we need to rely upon the rope that is the chiral network to bring the whole continent together. But that's not all he said, of course. He wanted to get under your skin with those comments about Loom. To get his revenge by inflicting as much pain and suffering as possible on the undying repatriate. Personally, I think you should try to put it out of your mind. Focus on finishing this journey, and in doing so, finding the closure you need. That's one of the reasons we took to the road, after all. That and finishing the network to bring forth a new plate gate. Let's carry on, Sam. One step at a time. Hasta tenkininare. All right. My shoes don't come off. Oh well. Pizza do karate. Huh. Maybe I should give it a try too. It'd be great if someone could show me how it's done. Maybe I could learn through VR training? Maybe we could call it Taekwondo. Tell you what, you can be my very first student. When I saw that coffin, I was reminded of a rather unorthodox type of psychotherapy. The patient lies down inside a coffin, which is then closed, plunging them into darkness. In being subjected to this simulated experience of being laid to rest, they may find a measure of peace and comfort. If you spot a coffin that seems suitable for this, why not climb inside and see what happens? Say, that's a pretty good score, buddy. That place we were sent to, the Land of the Dead, it strikes me as odd that it was submerged underwater. And did you see those columns of ice, the ones descending from the surface all the way to the floor? Afterwards, I realized what they reminded me of. The columns were reminiscent of a phenomenon known as brinicles. When seawater freezes and turns to ice, salt concentrates are released into the surrounding water. This brine is heavier than the water around it due to its higher density. It therefore sinks deeper into the ocean. As it flows towards the ocean floor, its lower temperature results in the formation of ice. And as this process continues, it can produce column-like ice structures. Any living creatures unfortunate enough to become entangled in these can be frozen solid. Little wonder they're called icicles of death. I don't really have anything else to say right now. Neil Vanna, a porter employed by Bridges. A man not unlike yourself, it would seem. But why did he appear in that so-called nirvana, or rather, that realm of the dead? And then there's the fact that he clearly spoke Lu's name. If we have another opportunity to visit that mysterious realm, then perhaps we can get some answers. The times we've encountered Neil Vanna, the first was amidst flames, and the second was in what seemed to be flood-ravaged ruins. Now, I believe that you were previously transported to a realm not unlike a battlefield. The places we found ourselves in are similar in that they were the sites of disasters. This is just a theory, but it could be the case that what we've seen is a reflection of Neil's mental state. He may have been a first-hand witness to a terrible tragedy which left a lasting mark on him. You slept well, yes? And you'll only need a short break before we can get to work. You and Neil Vanna have a stronger connection than I realized. There must be some reason why he keeps appearing before you in that mysterious realm. Admittedly, while we've only seen a few pieces of the larger puzzle, it may lead to discoveries you might struggle to accept. Nevertheless, I commend you for your courage in facing your past head-on thus far. I say this with the utmost sincerity. When you consume a chronobiote, your perception of the world around you dramatically slows down for a brief period. It's not hard to imagine why that'd be beneficial in the middle of a fight. You'd have a much easier time lining up your shots, and you'd see enemy attacks coming long before they had a chance to hit you. I'm reminded of the difference in the passage of time experienced when we're on the beach. It stands to reason that both phenomena might be caused by microbes from the beach and their effects on our bodies when ingested. I saw that you received EX capture grenades from the metagenomicist. To think that the parasitic chiral microbes you brought her could be repurposed to infect and birth variant BTs in such a manner. Namely, by combining BT crystals with your own DNA to produce BT cores. If this is indeed true, it's a truly incredible discovery. You have to test this theory at the earliest opportunity, Sam. I'm eager to see what happens. It would seem that tomorrow's grown more adept at wielding her powers. All that practice manipulating the temporal properties of apples has helped her to gradually refine her technique. And now she can treat you to the literal fruits of her labor, perfectly ripened ones, no less. I heard what Victor Frank said about your BB pod. You used to have a different keychain attached to it in the past? Igor. Ah, yes. The corpse disposal team member that was caught in the void out with you that time. I see now. The keychain was a memento to remember him by. I've been mulling over the words Victor said to you earlier. He's gone, but he still feels so close. There's a universal truth in that sentiment. The closer we are to people when they're alive, the stronger the bond we forge with them in our hearts. No matter how much time passes, I still feel her presence. My daughters. No doubt you feel the same about Lou. One day, Sam, when you have a moment to spare, I'd like to tell you about my daughter and the strange events that changed the course of our fates. Good morning, Sam. No need to rush while getting ready. In your own time, Sam. About that ghost mech we saw carrying what appeared to be a coffin on its back. I wonder if that coffin was somehow connected to the beach. I distinctly felt the presence of the dead from within its armor. If you could deal a blow powerful enough to bypass its defenses, it might be enough to stop it in its tracks. Failing that, you could always concentrate your attacks on a single location on its body. All right, Sam. What do you say we head out and get to work? Sam, I think it's high time we get going. All this relaxation is no good for my sciatica. So, operations at the Eastern Environmental Observatory are managed by just one man, all alone in the mountains. Must be terribly stressful. To survive in such extreme conditions, you cannot afford to let despair take root in your heart. Hope is an indispensable asset. Not to downplay the benefits of the cargo you brought, but the truth of the matter is that it won't make a difference for him that quickly. But what no doubt served to give him immediate comfort was the presence of a helpful soul. You, Sam. Porters can be bearers of light for those struggling in darkness. He'll not soon forget what you've done, nor the warmth that filled his heart when you arrived. The entire crew is working hard to get the ship in working order. So let's follow their lead and do what we have to do. Pierre Southern of South Fort Knott, was it? To think his mentor was instrumental to the development of the DHV Magellan's propulsion systems. One could go so far as to say that he's one of our vessel's many fathers. While you were resting, Fragile and the others made it back to the ship safe and sound. They were able to procure all the materials we needed without any issue. Tarman has just finished installing our new main cannon. He said it will be some time before it's fully operational, though. Even so, the DHV Magellan has been restored, thanks to our combined efforts. Now, it's time for us to do what we can, and to finish what we've started. You were tossing and turning yet again, Sam. Still having nightmares, I presume? You can try holding me while you sleep if you like. So this is a story I heard long ago. In a little port town, there's a custom that's been passed down for generations. Before a new ship makes its maiden voyage, the locals prepare a small paper boat. And upon this boat, they place paper sailors. Paper sailors who bear the names of real men, the names of the crew on the new ship preparing to depart. So, the paper boat is sent out to sea, and being paper, it sinks quickly, with all hands lost. But this is for the best. You see, the paper boat and sailors take the place of their namesakes, sparing the real crew misfortune and ensuring that the ship returns to shore safe and sound. I should mention, by the way, that we observed this custom before launching the DHV Magellan. Better safe than sorry, right? In any case, this is what they had always done for every new ship in the little port town, and what they would do for the next. The first ship to be built there in quite some time, in fact. So, on this joyous occasion, everyone gathered to watch as the paper boat and its paper sailors sank into the sea. And the next morning, the real ship set sail. A few days passed, and then the ship returned. To a man, the crew's faces were all portraits of grief. Why so forlorn, the people asked. A sailor answered by simply pointing at a black mass upon the deck. The armless, legless, blood-soaked corpse of the ship's captain. He had been swept overboard by a massive wave and torn apart by a ravenous shark. And after they pulled what remained of him onto the deck, they found, hidden in his jacket pocket, an armless, legless paper sailor. Someone had hated the captain with a passion. Now that I think about it, I recall seeing something on your door just now. Something made of paper. Ah, yes, a little paper figure with Sam written on it.
I sincerely hope you understand, Sam. Fragile never stopped thinking about how all of this was affecting you. Whenever you weren't around or were asleep, Fragile approached me to see how you were holding up under the strain. She wanted to know how often you talked to Lou in the pod, how much everything weighed on your mind, if you ever thought about what happened. She had faith that you would one day come to accept the reality of your situation. It wasn't just for your sake. Fragile needed you too. There are people out there who need help, Sam. Whenever you're ready to face what's next, summon your strength and get to it.
So you know, Sam, I had that item Neil gave to you delivered into Fragile's care. She'll analyze it and will let us know its significance in due course.
If I could, Sam, I would give you all the time you need to process everything that's happened. But the fact of the matter is that we need you now, more than ever. For what it's worth, I'm here for you. So let's get out there and do what needs to be done. Sam, everyone on the SSS seems to be in high spirits. People are chiming in to congratulate you on finally bringing all of Australia onto the chiral network. It's only right that they should praise you, given how integral you were to the operation. Still, I do wonder if there's a Dollman's the best post in here, or even a We Love Dollman, perhaps. Okay, is it just me, or is it strangely quiet outside our room? There's a disconcerting stillness in the air. Perhaps we should go and see how the rest of the crew is faring. By the way, I get the feeling there may be a long cutscene in the near future. You ready for that? Are you sure?
The last Stranding. An attempt to use chiral communications to link everyone's beaches and flood the world of the living with BTs. The final mass extinction event that would extinguish all life on the planet. If tomorrow is indeed your daughter, then it stands to reason she's inherited your unique abilities, though she may also be a new extinction entity as well. It's time to go, Sam. Tomorrow's going to be fine.